today I'm going to go over the HeyGen platform, the avatars, the cinematic, what the current costs are, and then how you would make a commercial, how I've done it. So I'd like feedback, of course, but just kind of providing my kind of lessons learned as well as what I'm working on here. So HeyGen is really interesting. It's a platform that allows you to create avatars. These avatars can be created in multiple ways. Really, it's up to you how you want to create your avatars. But for a current project, I have something called, it's a compy or a compsegnathus. And so I've kind of used the original logo, and from that created several different avatars that I could then reuse. You can use this design with AI tool to kind of create more looks in your lookbook. You also have the ability to create likeness using a personal model. It takes about 10-15 minutes. This is if you're trying to build a personal avatar based on like your own look or a certain person that you would give the AI model training data on you to kind of create videos. But for me personally, my personal preference is I don't like the idea of using likenesses of like real humans. I thought it would actually be interesting to do kind of like more of an animated thing. The thing that I'm working on is something called the cinematic tool. Essentially, you type a prompt. You can provide different elements, avatar elements. You can also bring in different scene elements. So I've kind of just played around with that. What I've noticed is if you're going to make anything that's longer than a short, if you're going to make something more in tune with a longer form commercial from 15 to 30 seconds, you probably want to use separate prompts. So let's get into the first thing, which would be pricing. So for any creator, you're given annual and you can buy credits, monthly credits that they stipend to you. For this one, I have 7,200 credits. Here is the basic platform. It's $288. I want to say 3,600 credits or like 150. They have different tiers, so 1080, 720. It changes the amount. You can actually upscale these later. So if you go into something and you want to make it 1080, it will actually refactor and make it a higher resolution for a later cost. But you're looking at 60 credits. For comparison purposes, we're using the cinematic. So it's like high quality studio content, something you'd have high quality studios or like even AI content.
Yeah.
So what I bought was about $150 with credits, which is 3,600. So what I bought it for was about 24 credits per dollar. So when you're using the high or the 720 PPI for anything up to 15 seconds, you're going to see it's about 250 per scene. And then if you go high res to 1080, it's 625. So what I'm assuming here is that we're going to use 720 PPI. Each scene is going to be 4 to 8 seconds. So we're actually going to use prompts per scene versus trying to one-shot all the prompts into a 15-second window. I've felt that is harder to work with, and you won't get the high-quality content that you need. But usually one-shot something that doesn't really work well. And then you go 3 to 5 tries per scene. So say 6 scenes, we have 6 scenes for your commercial or content, and you do 3 to 5 different scenes. You can tweak the prompts if you want to, but you can kind of see what it gives back to you. So if you want a good coverage spread to kind of diversify, you're going to go per content that you create. And of course, this is with some post-production capability, $45 to $75 per content. And then assume 3 content pieces per week. So you're looking at $135 to $225 budget. So the pros of this is going to be able to generate ideas pretty rapidly. You get a consistent avatar and branding mechanic. You're going to use certain characters to do these talking pieces that your, branding mechanics are going to be pretty consistent as long as you don't change anything in terms of how you're going to present your presentation layer. Like if you're prompting to have like a certain scene or element change or color change directly in the prompt, it could obviously mess with your consistency. And then also just another pro is that you can use external scene elements. I've used like logos and external scene elements, like transparent background things to kind of pull into your world, and it works really well. So those are kind of the pros. Now, if we're going to buy like a token, if you're serious content generator, you're looking at $14.40 per 6 scene content piece, which is about $43.20 per week. So about 17,000 tokens per month. In the Pro package, which might have, better capabilities and maybe actually cheaper credit spreads. But just based on what Pro has, you're looking at like a $9,000 bill, dollar annual if you're moving content that quickly and want to build curated content in this way. So you're looking like pretty high-end stuff. Looks like it could have been generated, in my terms at least, as a 3D model animation or animators. So again, they're high quality pieces. Call it AI slop or not, it's a higher quality AI slop. So at that price, I mean, we can look at what the alternative would be, which would be other studios using AI tools potentially. You can go indie small, but I would say USD 200 to 1,500 per piece. So per piece, comparative on the higher end, $75, you're still saving like $125 from like your lowest, unless you go to Fiverr. But again, like quality, you could probably generate higher quality content. So again, it's not cheap, but I guess in comparison, in terms of branding and consistency with your avatar, with their voices, you can create character voices, whatnot. It's pretty awesome in terms of cost effectiveness. Okay, so I want to move to just a couple recommendations. So when you're developing these, your commercials or your content pieces, I would recommend do not allow HeyGen to use that for you. I would say BYOBM. Bring your own background music. And I can show you guys real quick, and then we'll jump into the other things. But you can put in your prompt the beats per minute that you're trying to sync, and then figure out what the beats per minute. So how can I build your own background music? I would recommend that you use something called ElevenLabs, which you can also use create voice graphs, but we're just going to focus on the music part. So you can use ElevenLabs. In ElevenLabs, I would go to 11 Creative and you go down to music. For music, you can generate pretty much whatever your prompt is. It tells you BPM. Now they have pre-generated things, but you could generate your own. How I like to frame each scene, each prompt. Again, in the scene of a movie, it's every beat, right? Indie films have longer type shots. Episodes like Star Trek, they use the same scene, so it's like cameras in the same set. Versus Inception moves very quick. It's like almost 3 to 5 seconds, like how jetting it is, the exposition. I want to start by sharing kind of framework from your visual prompts to kind of give you some tricks on how you create a avatar, how you create the frame, or even how you discuss what the person doing is in the exposition. Within the exposition and action, and prior to that, the framing, you can actually frame the shot here. Shot size, right? Like, what are you kind of seeing? Being really cognizant on what you really want to show. Is it more about the presence or what they're doing, close up, etc. Shot size, how much of the subject is filling the frame. Camera angle, vertical position relative to the subject. Where are we looking from the lens? Point of view. Is it first person, third person? Is it over the shoulder? Is it like a drone shot? Or is it third person shooter, right? A combination of the three: your subject, your action, shot size, angle, point of view, and lens, light, stylistic qualities. And try to focus on one term per axis and don't cancel out, be cognizant. And when you move on to another shot, make sure you distinguish between the two. Think about framing the shot. Having the camera angle point of view is always great when you're building that exposition. How I frame it is on the outside, you're setting up a shot. So it's like the type of shot. You're also putting in the goal and the energy to the prompt. It actually helps guide the look and feel. And then the exposition and objects. So basically everything that happens, objects that like the physical mechanics that are happening, you iterate through that. And then at the bottom, you put a script. So if there's a script where you're kind of moving through different exposition objects or different types of shots, like interior, dark room or dark warehouse, night at view. When you're writing screenplays, generally you want to allow the director more flexibility. So you're given descriptive words. If you're doing a little exposition, some creative writing to allow the director, but you're also giving directive energy. And again, you can kind of experiment with this. You can go more exposition heavy, or you could go more feelings and goals and setting those as well. But then also the script. I would recommend not going too free flow unless it's like something that can be a little more free form. I like music videos I've tried to generate, and that kind of works a little bit better. But again, if you want a specific scene, I would go type of shot and then kind of build everything inside. And then as the exposition moves, you kind of show that as well. I'm going to give you a prompt example, by the way. Okay, so I'm just going to read through this. So, photoreal cinematic commercial premium with startup energy. The avatar is in a Hawaiian shirt inside a dim upscale speakeasy, glassomorphic UI data panels floating in the air around them. Hold on the environment for a beat, then a slow push in as the avatar glances around, curious and laid back, speaking calmly and unhurried to camera. Color palette deep navy, electric blue, crisp white. Clean, modern sans serif for any text, shallow depth of field, soft, moody light, subtle film grain, cool grade with bright highlights, 4K. Again, you can set this exposition and then the script. Hey, Compify, what is the building worth per square foot? Yeah, that's where I thought. It helps to actually use punctuation and sometimes unnatural punctuation. Unless you have subtitles, the subtitles can kind of get iffy. I would also recommend, if you can, doing subtitles post-production. I wouldn't do them in pre-production, just because if the AI, you're tied to that because those pixels are put on the screen. I'd focus on putting it after the screen. Just make sure you're very direct in your instructions, that you are spelling out the words or the script as well. And you use punctuation in the script to kind of slow down the words if not. For example, per square foot, question mark, yeah. There should be a break, a natural break, and sometimes the AI does not do that. Okay, so before we jump into HeyGen, I just realized that when I was making this video, it uses the avatar design look or scene element you're giving. So what you could do is you start with something and you create like this master slide that has all your scenes and go from scene to scene with the script, and it can show you different types of looks and whatnot. Then you can go to design a look and create these more dynamic scenes using the previous avatar to put them in that situation. You can use it as a brain master design system architect, where you go through all your scenes and see how it runs. Because the thing about, and I'm going to show you guys this in a second, but the thing about the development is it always starts with the initial avatar. So you wouldn't really be able to create anything outside of the avatar starting in that position that you left them. Again, I'm going to show this. So you can use each of these designs in your master slide to kind of design a look. Because if you generate, again, if you try to one-shot even from a really good prompt with all the scenes, if you try to one-shot it, it's more likely to mess up and you're just going to lose anything that you could salvage from that, right? All it takes is one bad scene and then you have to try to splice it. So it's easier to start it and move between, like, hi guys. So as I said previously, I was trying to one-shot these commercials, right? And so I'll show you a demo here.
Tired of paying crazy.
I did 6 scenes in one prompt and I sent it, and it cost the same. And then it creates these interesting things. This is really cool, but as you can see, there are certain elements that say gibberish. These don't even have words, but they look really cool. Misspellings, but the character obviously is moving through it. It's creating a lot of cool scenes and continuity. When you do what I was doing, and again, like, this is kind of an open discovery. I'm just sharing what I've learned. Maybe you guys have a better workflow and we could talk about it. But like, my second workflow was, okay, if I break these scenes up, right? I was using the same avatar as a reference. So would basically, okay, this is the first one, and it'll talk a lot slower, but they were more likely to be accurate. Okay. So as I'm moving through the scenes, there's like a little more focus on spelling words, a little more focus that you can speed up post-production, right? You can speed up if it's too slow, but going too fast is obviously it's going to mess the voice. So it's better to have a slower voice, and then you can kind of like 1.5 times it and then pick parts of the scene that you like. The problem was, as you can see, just kind of from a high view, it's continually starts with the same avatar, or it'll get to the same avatar as what I provided here, which is in my look, right? So what you'd have to do is take this look and then create coincide with what the like overarching view, right? Where you have these dynamic characters initially that you bring in, you create that look before going into it. All right. So that being said, those are kind of my frameworks here in building. And then so the next thing is, I'm using Canva, but you take the ElevenLabs, you put the background music, obviously, when everything else is running. Then you can do post-production and take these scenes. Now, what would I do differently? I would take these scenes, create new avatar shots, like looks, using design look, and I would try to design so I take this and try to build based on the scene. So you can build like, this is compy, straightforward, but maybe you want copy transparent background, maybe so then you could put a background up around them. Or you could have copy, 3/4 view, like right overhead view, third person view. You can choose different, walking down the street so that when their avatar is appearing in the scene and you're adding the scene elements, they're in a more dynamic kind of change versus them always starting at the front, like as you see here. So yeah, that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, I'll share some more of my findings here on like HeyGen. I'm interested in learning this as I go and sharing kind of my learnings and hopefully hearing back from people using this as well to see how everybody's using it, if there's better tools, etc. So thank you. If you have anything, just leave it in the comments and we can chat about it.